Hello and welcome to Left Coast Live. It is Thursday, May 29th. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, joined as always by my co-host, Stat Pat, stateless patriot of the Central Valley. We are California lefties coming to you live, mostly about national politics, sometimes about state politics. But overall, Stat Pat, I would say our show is about, more than anything else, political marketing.
Oh yeah.
Any idiot can read the newspaper, watch some YouTube channels, and talk to you about politician X and politician Y and policy X and policy Y. But very
Yeah.
few people are going to be able to speak intelligently about how to sell that policy to the American public. Because I think it's obvious by now, if you've been doing your homework and paying attention, that the left is pretty much right about policy through and through, at
Yes.
least in terms of the fundamentals of what those policies should look like with respect to the relationship between the citizen and the government. And
Exactly.
it's just a matter of, is anyone going to stand up and make that case in a meaningful way, in a way that leads
Right.
to election results changing?
hmm
And that's going to be the question for the next 2-3 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing now how people like AOC are starting to become like the face of the Democratic Party. It's just because there's no one who's like a centrist Democrat and whatnot, who's worth a shit. Sure, there's a few
Right,
people with like charisma here and there, but it's just like, you can only charm people with vague and empty platitudes and shit and
right,
cliches
for so long.
for so long before like it's revealed that oh, you don't actually believe it much. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just here as a pawn. You're just here as a figurehead through which forces affect the change that the forces want to see,
Bingo.
which is, in a capitalist society, usually the capital. Whatever the capital wants, the capital gets.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
programmed to think that it's whatever the consumer wants, the consumer gets, but that's not always true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a few things right now. I guess tariffs are back on after a
Yeah, I
judge
saw that. The appeals
stopped
court,
them. Yeah, there was some court that put a halt to it.
and then
It
another
was
appeals court turned it over, right?
I think so. I think that literally just happened. I don't know much about it, but it was yeah, it was it was like a court that oversees trade and shit, and it's like you're overseeing trillions of trade in exchange in the economy, the global economy, every day, and it's just like yeah, like your decisions, it's important here because like the fate of so much money and commerce and the economy in general lies on this decision because ultimately the Trump administration, the executive, cannot unilaterally dictate who gets tariffs.
Right,
You can't implement tariffs without Congress, and yet
right.
this is being allowed to happen anyway. It's like what the fuck.
Yeah, I don't think there's much faith left in our judicial system. I don't
Mm.
expect anything to stop Trump from doing exactly what he wants, other than maybe some Republicans in Congress and some Republicans in the Senate who might just
Yeah,
say screw this, and then
it's
might
just
try to get ahead of it, because
it just
the
sucks. Like
Republican brand is going to be in the shitter
yeah,
in for the midterms. He's going to get absolutely crushed in the midterms.
without a doubt.
So, well, it's just amazing to me that this party is in power right now.
No, yeah,
Um,
like I'm still in disbelief. It's just like I've
like,
kind of
here we
zoned
go
out
again.
because
It's like we're an alcoholic with a
yeah,
relapse, man. Here we go
yeah,
again. What do you expect, America? What do you
yeah,
expect? And for all, like, and maybe this is like, the title of mine is, has Trump's MAGA changed America forever? Can we recover someday?
hmm
And it's something that I've talked with a lot of friends about, but the conflict of MAGA versus America, does that stay in the context of politics, or does that go into other elements of our culture and society?
no,
For
right,
example, do we see certain cities like Boston, New York, Chicago, Philly come to mind, that would basically say, I dare you to wear a MAGA hat in my city. And if you do, then there will be serious social punishment. And I just wondering, do you think we're going to get to a place where we need citizen versus citizen activism? Because I kind of do, and it's like I don't know if it's just because I want to see it that but I just feel like long term, the only way to get rid of MAGA and really resurrect the country is to just bounce off of MAGA in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of inevitable at this point. People are really just sick and tired of each other in general. Like there's such division, but like people like are also so tuned out. They don't want to like engage with it. They don't want to like exert any energy to it. Like myself, it's like I have been so tuned out of it for like the past month. I mean, the whole tariffs thing and just the endless like the current bleeding out of the public sector. It's just
Right,
like holy shit. And of course, the economy in other chaos and turmoil because there's just too much uncertainty right now. The dollar's collapsing. The
right,
bond market is shaking. Like and the market hates uncertainty. And like there's just nothing but it right now.
right.
And so it's just like I'm just tired of like putting any energy paying attention to this
I
at
feel
all
you.
because it's just like it's
I feel you.
chaos for the sake of chaos. And
Yeah,
right now
and
the only thing holding together this like what was a semblance of I guess institutionalism as it were is, like maybe a few Republicans and these judges that are still like trying to play catch up with all the illegalities of the Trump administration right now. It's like this dam is bursting, and these few people in power are trying to patch up every hole as fast as possible before the whole goddamn thing breaks. And it's just like there's just another crack, another crack. It's an endless game of catch up by people who actually don't want to see the system fall to authoritarianism and see this administration get away with so much fucking criminal bullshit. You know?
Ben, I think the authoritarianism is here, man. Like
Yeah,
this is it.
yeah, full
This
blown.
is it. This is the authoritarianism,
That
and it's just
they're
going to get
stretching the
worse.
limits.
It's
Yeah,
just going to get worse. I
yeah.
mean, it's best to be a pessimist in this world. I found. I hate
Hmm.
to say that. I want people to be optimistic about
Yeah.
life and everything. And when I was younger, there was a lot to be optimistic about. But
Oh yeah.
having reached the 4 decade mark now and having traveled the world and seen the way America does things in contrast to the way other developed nations do them, it just was a matter of time before we ended up here. The system does not allow for leaders of integrity to emerge and become popularized,
No.
right? And you see a guy like Gavin Newsom who seems to have it all and he's just throwing it away on trying to get everyone to like him, like the Obama syndrome, right? That's Obama's
Yeah.
big personality flaws. He's trying to get everybody to like him. It's like, dude, sometimes you got to punch somebody in the face. Sometimes you just got to call a dumb jock bully a dumb jock bully
Right.
and get him to shut up
Hmm.
so that people can get down to work and get things make and solve problems.
Hmm.
But that's the thing about the Republicans is they want to throw a wrench into the system and say, look, I told you it was broken. That's what they do. They sabotage the efficacy of government and then they point the finger at the party of government, which I guess is the Democratic Party,
Yeah.
and they say, "Look, see, I told you it doesn't work."
No, yeah. That's literally that is the game that they play every time. It doesn't work because you don't allow it to work. You know,
They don't want
you,
it to work. They just want to.
of
They
course
just
they
want to. They
don't.
just want to cut. They want to minimize government. They don't care. It's heartlessness, man. It's a heartless
Yeah,
culture that we live in. That's the real tough part to come to terms with if you're raised within the context of a household that values American exceptionalism. Is like, no, America is exceptionally bad.
yeah,
America is exceptionally disappointing. America falls exceptionally short of where she
yeah.
should be, of
One
where
hundred
she
percent.
can be, where she would be if we had 45 years of real political leadership. But instead, The baby boomers became the biggest voting bloc in American history, and up until that point, and now millennials are, by the way.
Yeah.
And so it's time for a sea change. And that,
Yeah.
I feel like we have yet to be discovered because we keep harping on a lot of themes like
Hmm.
transforming racial and transphobia, all that stuff. Like take all that resentment and put it into a generational context. Now
Yeah.
now it's politically productive. If you do that, like I said, like blame has its place. Blame is problem identification in a lot of contexts, and
Yeah.
blaming the baby boomer conservatives for what they screwed up, I don't see anything wrong with that because there's nothing good about them holding on to power. There's like
Yeah.
they're all like they're all in their 70s, like enough. You had your
Of
time.
course.
You don't understand this world. You didn't grow
Yeah.
up with the internet. You don't understand younger generations, and you never will. You
Yeah.
never will. You never will.
Yeah,
Just
and it's
get the
also why
fuck
they're
out of
like,
the way.
yeah, it's also why like they're so desperate to cling on to power even in their older age. It's because it's like you don't want to have to teach your proteges about how fucked the system actually is and what you do need to do in order to
Yeah, it's a good point.
maintain your position.
Yeah,
And you know, they see the youth as a threat because they see their eagerness to better the system as naivety. And
right.
it's this elitism that is stuck with them throughout the decades that prevents an actual sea change from taking place. um like I literally like the only hope right now is that there are the few judges, even Trump appointed judges, that are putting a stop to um, various things, and not to mention a lot of Republicans that aren't playing ball. Thankfully, like a lot of the deficit hawks and whatnot, because of how horrible this bill, this big beautiful bill is, and how much it'll increase the deficit, and therefore the debt, and not to mention um, like we do have the incompetence in general of the administration on our side as well, let
Mm.
alone the people involved with the administration. Like right now, we even got Trump and Elon having like an actual breakup. Elon's
Right.
all depressed, posting on Twitter, and he's shitting all over the bill, and
It's the
because like
smartest thing that Trump has done since he's been in office is get rid
yes,
of Elon. It's the smartest
yes.
thing he's done since he's been in office.
No kidding. And he's all like mopey that, oh, well, I mean, we tried our
He's a
best
baby.
at
So what's he gonna
Doge.
gonna complain? He's a baby.
Yeah.
Stop expecting them. That's what I keep telling people. Like the respect is the problem.
Hmm.
The respect is the problem. Do you respect
Yeah.
a child throwing a fucking temper tantrum? Do you
No.
respect a child trying to talk politics when they're in third grade? No, of course not, because they haven't lived life. These
Yeah.
people are underdeveloped human beings. It just is the way it is, people. I know you
Yeah.
don't. It's like people say, "Oh, I don't want to come across as sounding superior." Well, I'm like, well, it's not hard to be superior to a white trash idiot who
Yeah.
thinks that Jewish space lasers are, who's the bigger idiot though? The Jewish space lasers chick, Marjorie Taylor Greene, or the progressive network that interviews her to get ratings? I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely
Come on.
pathetic
Yeah, that's shameless,
that
dude.
you're seeing from the
Yeah.
biggest names in progressive media.
Hello, Megan. Yeah, there's no respect there to be deserved at all. It's for crying out loud, um, fucking uh she was arguing with Grok on Twitter about you know her faith in like her Christianity and shit. It was like the cringiest thing in the world. It's like what the fuck are you doing? Like you're arguing with a chat bot, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, she's a mess.
yeah,
But
insane.
as far my message to people who are naive about this being a war is no. You need to get to a place where if you're a conservative and you're looking at a conservative and how you judge them, all right, you judge them as a child and you say never forgive, never forget, never respect,
Yeah.
never again. If you
Right.
are a conservative, there is something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. You're not empathetic. You're too
Yeah.
competitive. You're narcissistic. You're selfish.
Hmm.
You're selfish as fuck.
Right.
And I don't have time for you. Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of my country or shut the fuck up and get out of the way of progress because you're in the fucking way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a sad set of circumstances when the only hope that this country's economic future lies within a few economically literate hands within the Republican Senate that actually understand, like, oh, if we just kick the can down the road yet again, if we give tax breaks, if we don't increase tax revenue, everything's going to fall the fuck apart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like made like a long term depression, because
Yes.
interest rates are going to skyrocket for the United States. People aren't going to invest here. It won't be a safe place to invest.
No.
Bonds will begin like vanishing quicker and quicker, because it's like, if we can't make good on our debts anymore because the dollar's devaluing, because we're increasing our deficits, we're borrowing more than we're spending, well, this country's fucking doomed. So
Right.
like, it sucks that, like, the economically conservative Republicans are like the ones that have to stand up to Trump and not pass the big beautiful bill as it is and shit. And yeah, it's such a mess.
Well, the word that I think a lot of lefties are reluctant to say is evil. I mean, they're reluctant to call conservatism evil. They're not willing. They're willing to call the alt right and like MAGA trash extremism evil, but they're still not willing to admit or haven't thought through it long enough to realize that conservatism itself, at its core, is evil.
Yeah.
It is a hindrance to progress,
Hmm.
and it brings us back to our, lesser, or what did they say, our higher demons.
Yeah.
Um, it just it doesn't produce a good society. It produces a self-centered society,
Yeah.
and we've got 45 years of proof now. That's the beautiful thing, is that
Yeah.
if you want to argue for progressivism, it's like you have had, by the time Trump gets out of office, you will have had 48, damn near 50 years of back and forth between Reaganism and neoliberalism,
Yep.
and you probably don't even know the fucking difference. It's
Yeah.
like every lefty political figure must be just getting down to basics with that triumvirate of conservatism, neoliberalism, and it's baby boomer conservatism, really,
Yeah.
and then neoliberalism, and then progressivism,
Yeah.
which is just democratic socialism.
Yeah, it just
And
sucks that there's still too many conservatives, like, just the whole Republican Party in general are just so cucked to the philosophies of Ayn Rand, and
yes,
you got no new school MAGA come up, which is even fucking dumber and stands for even less,
hmm
even less red, and like being a student thereof of fucking Ayn Rand in general, like, you're still not as economically literate as you think you are. But
no, of course not.
then you have MAGA that comes in, and it's just like, you're just following the trend, like, oh, supreme leader,
Right.
make America great again, her to dirt, there's no actual thought process behind it. Yeah.
No, they've
Yeah.
been convinced of this nostalgic argument that
Yes, but
America used to be of an amazing place where everyone got along and we all loved each other and everyone had a
right,
house, a car, and
it's
two kids. And it's
these
like,
people.
no, that's not
No.
the America that ever existed.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
for like straight white people in the suburbs, but that's about it.
no kidding. In like this pursuit of such, um uh
Materialism.
yeah, it's like, it's just, it's misery. Like, it'll just lead to endless misery, because it's like, you're not actually fighting for anything tangible, like, at all, that actually affects people or betters people's lives. You just want to feel
Right.
like you're right. You want to get you want to get likes on Twitter, you know
Yeah, and that's why a lot of, if any celebrity is
That's weird, man.
MAGA, it's probably going to be an athlete because their psychology revolves around competition. So when you're a
Right.
winner, when you're a naturally gifted athlete and you win a lot early in life, and then you segue that into a career, wow, that's impressive. It's super
Mhm.
rare. You are subconsciously taught to think that anybody can make it if they just work hard enough. And it's like, no, that's not the case. It's not the
Yeah.
case. Like, that's
Right.
basic American civics 101, is that is like addressing the elephant in the room when the Declaration of Independence says that all men are created equal. And it's
Yeah.
like, excuse me. And it's not just about the slavery context,
No,
but
right.
it's also just about the fundamental idea that, like, what that really was a counter to the nobility systems of Europe, and how
Yeah.
there was institutionalized power within the wealthy in governments back in
Right.
Western Europe. So they didn't want that. So it's like, okay, you get born, equal opportunity society is the goal.
Hmm.
But that's the thing, is conservatives don't want an equal opportunity society. They want favoritism. They would never admit that. See, that's the other thing, is that they've got blind spots, just like children do, right? Children don't know what's good for them because they haven't lived long enough to learn these big life lessons. And so, of course, the conservatives have all these blind spots, and they're completely unaware of them. And so, at some point, you have to decide, as a politically active citizen, whether you're going to get caught up in the politics of civility and America is going to continue to implode, or we're going to slap some conservative bitches across the face and tell them to shut up and get out of the way.
Yeah.
Because enough is enough. At what point do you decide to just yell at the kid to shut up?
Yeah.
You know, the kid just he keeps screaming and screaming and screaming. It's like, shut the fuck up. And if it won't
Yeah.
shut up, you throw the kid in a room. Yeah, I
Hmm.
said lock him in the room. Lock
Yeah.
him in the bathroom and say, yeah, you can come out when you stop freaking screaming, you psycho.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we
Yeah.
got to do to
No.
MAGA, dude. Send them to their room for the next
Yeah.
40 fucking years. Done.
Right.
You're done.
Yeah. Yeah. They are just like and throwing endless fits. Like no, look no
Yeah.
further than Trump's fucking cringe ass post on Memorial Day when he's just like whining about fucking this, that,
Yeah.
and everything under the
Yeah.
sun.
He's complaining. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And the shit about like the tariffs on the EU and whatnot, like calling them cheaters and shit. And it's just like, what in the literal fuck are you talking about, dude? And then it's like EU comes out and like, yeah, we're ready to retaliate. And it's just like, yeah, I bet you were, because you guys actually fucking like have contingency plans. Fucking
Right.
Trump's throwing everything fucking out, like like literally dismantling fucking everything. Like there's no actual fucking
I
plan.
haven't seen popular. Have you seen popularity polls recently? Have there been any popularity polls that have come
No,
out with
like
him?
his has been dwindling since the inauguration, without a doubt. Um, there's a downward trend to be seen for damn sure. Um, of course, like it's just the uncertainty in general. It's just like unless like a big change happens and like the Republican Party actually stands up to Trump and takes
Only
away
at
all the
48%,
fucking.
dude. His approval rating is at 48%. He's net
There's no
net
way.
-3, which is like, I would have
That's
expected a
actually
lot
high
worse
for
than
him.
that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that
actually
would have
high for him.
I would have expected him low 40s.
Right.
Trump's
Yeah.
approval rating was at 40% in late April,
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then it came back up.
It was
Unbelievable.
it was like right dead in the middle of the tariff wars and shit. Um, the, like when the tariffs on China just kept on like doubling and shit like that.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then finally there was a pause put on them and the markets reacted and everybody was like, yes, fucking finally. And who knows what will happen come July? Maybe they'll be back on. Who fucking knows? But I don't know. Maybe Trump's just fucking pissy because the EU never reached out to him like to get any trade deals done. So they fucking lie because they're saying, oh, we got 200 countries reaching out for us for excuse me, for deals and shit. And I guess, I mean, that obviously wasn't the fucking case at all because it's now like now you're just slapping 50% tariffs on the EU. So it's like there's no direction, there's no plan. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. That's, I think, going to be the case for the next few years.
Yeah,
It's
and
just like, I can't believe it's only May. It's about to be June.
and
So,
thankfully, Elon's out too, so you don't have to like fucking hear his input on goddamn everything that goes on in the White House and shit. And like, there's a whole lot of factors regarding that too. It's like there's the fact that he is not popular at all. Doge was a complete failure. They lied
right.
about the numbers like the entire way, and they still do. With the numbers of what's being saved and shit. And so it's like you saved like maybe $60 billion, yet in the process you fucking eliminated hundreds of billions of dollars of worth of programs that save fucking people's lives, or feed people for crying out loud, like that give
Yeah.
people fucking health care.
Yeah, they don't care. This is, I mean, he just went
Keep
in and looked at
like
the,
have airports operating at full capacity for
right,
or at efficient enough capacity, like firing
right,
all these goddamn public sector workers for no goddamn reason, having to try to find the people that you fired because they're actually like pretty goddamn essential to the work that was being done. It's
right,
just a total fucking mess. Like he went in there like a bull in the china shop, and then just like when everybody like reprimanded him for it and basically made it known like, hey, we don't like you, he fucking just takes his ball and goes home and just mopes around. It's just like no self-awareness at all. But
yeah.
and also there's uh the factor of his ketamine usage, which uh which isn't much of a secret, and that shit makes you impotent and can give you UTIs with prolonged chronic use.
Mm.
It's not a good drug, and so like it's he's just a miserable fuck, dude, and like you
Yeah, I'm
know,
glad to see him go.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
good for the
his
country that
companies
he's
are
going.
failing, and
He's going to be radio. I think he's going to get like kicked out of a lot of these
but
companies. They're just going to be like,
probably gonna get
we're
kicked out
better
of
off
Tesla.
without.
Yeah,
Probably. I mean, why not?
yeah.
They're better off without him now.
Mm-hmm. No, right now he's like saying that he's gonna work like 40 hours a week at Tesla and whatnot. So he's just like virtue signaling to them, like, no, oh no, just let me work. Let me get right to work. Because he cares so much about Tesla, right? So he's like fucking desperate, very fucking desperate, and it's so goddamn transparent. It's so transparent. But yeah. I also don't know if you know this, but like the first part of my header for my stream is taco. Do you know what that stands for by chance? Have you seen
Yeah.
anything
Oh,
about
I
that?
heard. Yeah, I heard about it. Trump something. What is it?
Trump always chickens out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Always
I guess
chickens
he's
out.
gotten a little pissy about that because it started to go a little bit viral, and it's just like it's so goddamn true, it's like like he doesn't know what he's fucking doing, but he always tries to play it up like he's not going to back down regarding anything. Trump and Ukraine, not Trump, Russia and Ukraine, the Chinese tariffs or what have you, and turns out like enough damage is being done and enough people like don't like it to the point where it's like he kind of like has his arm twisted. Like, I have to reverse course on this thing that I've been harping away at. Because yeah, he just has fucking no idea what he's doing. He's enriching himself with every
Mm.
passing day. He's like a couple $1 billion wealthier because of his fucking meme coin, the Trump coin or whatever the fuck. It's just the most corrupt administration in U.S. history, and it's not even fucking close.
Right.
and,
Yeah.
and we haven't even talked about the goddamn Middle East tour yet. It's like, and then that's that
The
whole fucking
corruption
thing.
tour.
Yeah, the $400 million jet, the fucking potential that we might be on shakier footing with Israel now than we have been in a while, which is fine because I guess Trump and
Fuck Israel.
Netanyahu aren't really, Trump and Netanyahu not getting along, thank fucking God.
It's cool with
Um,
me.
but that means like he's starting to shore up more relationships with Saudi Arabia and
Hmm.
the UAE and Qatar and shit. So who knows? It's exciting, evil, fucking dismal times.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we can keep going, but I'm not gonna lie. I've got a lot on my mind. You should keep going if you want.
Why don't we pick up
Or do you
where
want
we
to
left off on your Who Are MAGA series? We'll watch like the next video. How about that?
Sure. Hold on one second.
Mhm.
We did the first one, right?
That's right.
Yeah. All right. We did Who Are MAGA, Misguided Misfits, or Sociopathic Syndicate, right? Yeah, we
Right.
did that. Okay.
Yeah, and then the one after that is
I got it right here. It's the Confederate flag wavers.
correct. Yeah, that's right. Because there's that one, and the Bible beers and the gun nuts.
All right, you want to do this as vanity here? Feels vain.
I mean, fuck it. I mean, it's not a bad thing to commit to for the sake of content.
If you wanted proof that MAGA conservatives are just losers who want to feel like winners, look no further.
Interrupts just a little bit.
The anti-American symbol Trump trash love to use to convey their contrarianism.
There we go.
The Confederate battle flag. To many Americans today, this flag
Maybe a
simply
little bit louder.
represents the region of the country that attempted and failed to secede from the Union. To a vast majority of
Yeah.
rural, uneducated whites, however, this flag represents their tribe. I suspect that most people who wave this flag with pride today, at some point in their life, won something. It was probably sports in high school, but maybe it was one of those backwoods drag races. Maybe it was a pie eating competition. It doesn't matter. The point is that at some point, Confederate flag wavers felt what it was like to be a winner, even if it was just for a moment. And as they got older and these earned victories became distant memories, unearned victory became their obsession. In May of 2020, Michigan Trumplicans protested at the state capitol, proudly flying Confederate flags next to swastika flags, next to Trump 2020 flags. Political luminaries, including Gretchen Whitmer herself, along with mainstream media pundits, were shocked to see Confederate flags used in protests not taking place in the South. How did the stars and bars come to mean so much to ultra-conservative Americans outside of the old Confederacy? Why are rural Michiganders symbolically aligning themselves with rural Southerners? Because just like the Bible and guns, the Confederate flag invokes all three of my major rhetorical anchors of conservative culture, thus making it a profoundly useful symbol of unity for those who seek to defeat change, regardless of where they live. Freshman year at Vanderbilt, I attended a town hall meeting involving changing the name of one of the dorms from Confederate Memorial Hall to simply Memorial Hall. Not that big of a deal, right? Well, I went with 3 other friends, and we ended up being the only students there. The rest of the room was filled with a handful of local alumni, but mostly it was local residents of Nashville who felt an attachment to Vanderbilt, even though they had no direct connection to the university other than living relatively close by. I'll never forget this white, overweight, 60-something local with obvious anger issues who wanted the dorm to remain Confederate Memorial Hall because, quote, none of you have the right to tell me what my heritage is. To which I responded, what does the name of a dorm at a university which you neither attended nor work for have to do with your heritage?
Yeah, no kidding. What okay. You're in Michigan. Okay, what state is Vanderbilt in again? I'm sorry.
Tennessee.
Tennessee. It's like what you have no attachment to the actual like college at hand. It's just like you're not being told what your heritage is. It's just a renaming. It's just it's not nothing's being erased. It's
Right.
just the renaming of a fucking that's an insane story.
He made it clear he was not interested in participating in the discussion anymore because he refused to even make eye contact with me, choosing instead to stare straight ahead, almost like a poker player trying not to give anything away.
No, yeah.
One of my classmates from
Mindless.
rural Arkansas that I came with chimed in. But Tar, we shouldn't act like the Confederacy never existed. To which I countered, I'm not suggesting we forget about the Confederacy. I'm simply suggesting we don't celebrate it.
Bingo.
The room went silent until someone who hadn't spoken yet said, well, it's not about the Civil War so much as it's about Southern pride, which I replied, what's so good about that? What did our favorite dead Irish poet say about pride? There were sins whose fascination was more in the memory than in the doing of them. Strange triumphs that gratified the pride more than the passions and gave to the intellect a quickened sense of joy, greater than any joy they brought or could ever bring to the senses. Oscar Wilde. In case you Trump lovers forgot, the Confederacy doesn't exist because those traitors of the South lost to the patriots of the North. And while it was a long contest, it was not a close contest. Kind of like how Trump lost the election of 2020. And while it was a long contest, it was not a close contest. Right-wing America's favorite left-wing luminary, Karl Marx, wrote, "History repeats itself, first as a tragedy, second as a farce." Buckle up, because this is truly insightful. The most obvious example of this pattern ringing true for modern America is that the too close to call Nixon-Kennedy election of 1960 repeated as a tragedy in 2000 with Bush-Gore, and again as a farce in 2020 with Trump-Biden. Another trilogy of American history might be that the historical significance of the Civil War repeated itself as the cultural tragedy of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Then again as a farce with the Trump-inspired civil war we're currently living through, revealed to the general public by the attempted insurrection of January 6, 2021.
Wow.
Boy, that Karl Marx sure had some interesting things to say about political patterns, didn't he? Maybe we should study his work instead of strawmanning it. To clarify, I understand the civil rights movement to have been legislatively victorious, but its results constitute an historical tragedy because those acts of racist violence should not have had to happen, on camera or otherwise, for the rest of the country to realize something was seriously wrong with the Deep South.
Yeah.
Secondly, today's socioeconomic status of African Americans suggests that while the Civil Rights Movement and Civil Rights Act of 1964 delivered some progress, particularly in the arena of awareness, they didn't deliver enough legally or economically. Confederate flags waved proudly next to Trump flags and Nazi flags less than 8 months into Trump's presidency at the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. Remember that one? It showcased predominantly angry white men exclaiming, "You will not replace us," and "Jews will not replace us." Charlottesville reminded retired Republicans like yours truly of the dark side of the GOP that we always knew was there, but never wanted to acknowledge, at least not publicly. This subsection of the right tolerated Reagan and the Bushes, but what they've always wanted in the White House is a Barry Goldwater or a George Wallace.
Yeah. Yeah.
In
And that's the
2016,
thing, too.
They finally got
They were a lot of the people, because unite the right means like all factions of the right. You know, it doesn't matter like what part of the spectrum that you are of the right. So of course you're going to get like the Nazis and the fascists and whatnot there. They were all really like a lot of people really don't understand like how terrified the right was of Barack Obama becoming president. The fact that he was president at all. They felt like there was a just such a major shift away from whiteness generally. Of course, that's simplifying it, but this was really the reality. It's kind of it's where the Tea Party came from. It's why the Unite the Right rally was able to fucking happen in the first place, because Donald Trump was president. Yeah, if Barack Obama was still president at that point, I don't think that rally would have happened. Not to the extent that actually did happen, because like people need to keep in mind, a lot of these fucking people were emboldened by someone like Donald Trump becoming president, and like that still really hasn't fucking changed. Yeah, he's probably not as popular right now because what his allegiance to Israel, his backtracking on economic issues, him just being an all around dumb fuck in general. But these people are still around. These people still exist.
Or a George Wallace. And in 2016, they finally got one in the form of America's favorite son of a slumlord, Dirty Donald Douchebag.
Yep.
Internet sleuths used social media to track down and publicly identify attendees of the rally to reveal that many, if not most, right-wing protesters there that day traveled to Charlottesville from another state. I specifically remember one guy they found on the news that traveled all the way from Reno, Nevada.
Wow.
What is the empathetic arithmetic for someone who goes that far out of their way to participate in a public demonstration of hate? We know what hate looks like, but where does it come from? It's one thing to have racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, or homophobic thoughts, but how do those thoughts become so powerful in someone's mind that they motivate real, logistically challenging, and financially demanding public action that runs the risk of destroying their reputation?
True. Like,
As members of a society that at least claims to be interested in positive change, we understandably pay attention to the oppressed when acts of oppression take place. Pragmatism demands, however, that if you want to end the oppression, comprehend the oppressor. After
yes.
all, defeating your enemy demands that you know your enemy.
Yeah.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm basically in total agreement. I mean, it's like I said, like these people are still around. They still mean business. They're they're basically like in their lying in wait stage right now.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt at all. Like come 2028, the kind of violence that we saw on January 6th would definitely happen again. Same thing with the Unite the Right rally.
Right.
Even if you know Trump is not like the man, they don't want to see the country go to a Kamala Harris, a
Right.
Barack Obama type, anybody like that. You know,
Right.
it's just all rooted in that just brain rot kind of fucking bigotry that me and you just can't make sense of.
Right.
At least we'd like try our best
So
to.
what do we know about Confederate flag wavers thus far? We know they're losers who want to feel like winners. We know they're cognitively and behaviorally overgrown children, unaware of how their emotions affect them. Do employers seek to hire such men? Do desirable women seek to be with such men? No. And hell no.
Mm.
So now we know that these men are likely either unemployed or hate their job. We also suspect that
probably live
most,
with
if
mommy
not
and daddy.
all, lack the companionship of a woman. Not getting paid,
There's
not
actually,
getting laid. No purpose, no passions, no happiness.
yeah, that's
Not getting
it's
laid. If
actually
not all,
this part right here. It's actually kind of pretty goddamn sad how fucking true it is. Like
Mhm.
I like
It is sad.
it,
It is sad.
it's not
It's the incel. It's the incels, dude.
it is.
It's the
Yeah,
incels.
yeah. I
They
mean
just they don't realize that they have to adapt to the woman, and like they can't just
bingo.
be a piece of shit and
Yeah,
expect to get laid. Like you have to have a
exactly.
flexible personality, man.
Yeah,
all lack the
like you have
companionship
to be fucking likable.
of
I mean, it really isn't. It's not as simple as that. But like fucking Kanye
Listening is the
West.
behavioral advice. That's the thing.
Yes.
If I could go back in time and give myself one piece of advice about dating or just relationships in general,
Hmm.
it would be just listen. Just
Yeah.
focus on
Same
listening
here.
and coming up with the reaction or the
Yeah.
appropriate response will happen
Bingo.
naturally. You know, it'll
No.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need to pre-plan what you're going to say
No.
before
Yeah.
someone's done talking, you know.
No, exactly. Like you're just like, yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I even interacted with fucking dumb men like that at the convention I was at. A lot of my friends, because like I have some very attractive friends, and seeing these mindless men have no clue how to actually properly engage with them in like for one a respectable manner, for two in the way that like actually seems like you're uh like behaving normally. It was just like it was remarkable to see because it's just like, dude, you're like you're not funny.
Right. I know.
You're acting like you're not being respectful, and you're not treating my friend here like they are a person.
Right.
And I couldn't agree more. I would tell my old self the same exact thing. And it's not as simple as like the incel thing that you mentioned in the video here, but like the fact that it's as common as it is, like Kanye West posting on Twitter, like wow, all it took was me being able to finally talk to my kids. I'm sorry, I'm no longer anti-Semitic. I love you all. I love all people, and this, and I feel so much better now. It's just like, bro, you just need help.
Yeah, exactly.
or hate their job. We also suspect that most, if not all, lack the companionship of a woman. Not getting paid, not getting laid. No purpose, no passions, no happiness.
Mhm.
You know what comforts you when you have nothing and no one? Community. When you're a rural, uneducated white, real community can be very hard to find since everyone lives so far away from each other. But symbols such as the Confederate flag unite these socially and culturally isolated people by invoking their shared experience of willful victimhood. And somewhat surprisingly, the psychological expression of that victimhood is blame. What does a man do when faced with failure? He accepts responsibility, he changes his approach, he tries again. If he blames anyone, he blames himself. What does a boy do when faced with failure? He blames. He blames the rules. He blames his parents. He blames his classmates. He blames anything he can to avoid facing the hard, ugly, uncomfortable truth that he failed. MAGA trash, like the Charlottesville protesters, think to themselves, and for most it's probably subconscious, my life sucks. I'm not man enough to take responsibility for it and consider changing. So I'm just going to blame someone else for my problems. But who should I blame? I know. Someone that is different from me. Someone that I don't know. Someone that might as well be an invading alien from Mars to me.
So this is the recurring theme of scapegoat politics. Originally in my third episode, the right-wing magic trick is where I talked about it. But really the vehicle is blame. It's just playing off of that childish instinct that we all have when we fuck up, is to just find some other reason. No, it's not my fault. I didn't screw up. I was like, no, you screwed up big time.
According to a profound Chinese proverb, he who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived. Since we know that Confederate conservatives aren't explorers, we know that their life experience will never include any kind of intellectual or spiritual journey. Their worldview, and by extension, their citizenship, will stay in the same place their entire life. It might not make immediate intuitive sense, but when you understand the most ignorant members of our society as nothing more than immature, unhappy, overgrown children, you can't help but conclude that racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, and homophobia are nothing more than expressions of misplaced blame. Think about that the next time an act of racially motivated violence makes the news, because we all know it's only a matter of time before another one takes place.
Right.
The oppressor blames those he oppresses or seeks to oppress for his miserable, lonely, purposeless life. Rural, uneducated whites struggle to transcend the ignorance of superficial reasoning. But there is at least a modest explanation for why people of color all look the same to them. The own race bias, also known as the cross-race effect, is the tendency for people to be better at differentiating people of their own race than they are people of another race. This one's pretty intuitive. It has a lot to do with early life social conditioning. If you're white and you spend your childhood going to school with only white people, people of color will feel very foreign to you when you encounter them. So when Trump trash say something to the effect of, all the Asian immigrants look the same to me, they're not lying. And the own race bias explains their social handicap. But does it excuse it? Does knowing that a lot of racists hold the ignorant views they do because of lack of life experience excuse their hate as nothing more than misguided contrarianism? The answer is that the own race bias can be used as an excuse for ignorance to the extent that the subject can differentiate between self-satisfaction and self-respect. Bad pride is self-satisfaction. Good pride is self-respect, which comes from working hard, especially when no one is looking. Letting your work speak for itself rather than boast about it, and contributing to your community without expecting anything in return other than a basic thank you. Taking pride in your work, hobbies, passions, and purpose is good for society. And notice how these expressions of pride are individualistic, not collectivistic. What you yourself offer society, not what your tribe offers society. The Confederate flag, on the other hand, inspires the exact same kind of pride your favorite sports team inspires, and it's not necessarily destructive to society, but it is when it's confused for self-respect. In another moment of profound existential irony, Confederate flag wavers have little to no self-respect because they have no sense of themselves as individuals. They have to depend on a long-distance community to give them self-satisfaction, when what they're really looking for is self-respect. Kind of like when a thirsty kid is given a cold soda instead of cold water. Sure, the soda tastes better at first and feels like it quenches your thirst, and you think you want another one a few minutes after the first, but after an hour or so, you're going to wish you had chosen the water because dehydration sucks. Trump trash choose the soda of self-satisfaction, collective pride, thinking it's the water of self-respect. Individual pride. The price for that inauthentic self-satisfaction that tastes oh so good is blind faith loyalty to the tribe of treasonous Trump trash terrorists.
Bingo. Yeah.
All right.
Shit. Wow, that was it. Fuck. No, that's actually a good note to end out on. Like very, very well said. Very well done.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I put as much work into those essays as I did because they're
really
they're timeless. Like no
They
matter
are.
when you watch them, it's not just a current events thing. Like, you saw Kalinsky in this space really establish himself as kind of a Sam Cedar 2.0 with his different style of short clips over the course of the day, 3 to 6 videos a day, something like that is what Kalinsky usually does. But it's all current events.
Yeah, exactly.
And he repeats himself, which is understandable. There's nothing wrong with repetition, but he expresses a lot of his stuff in a thematic way, whereas I want to lay it all out in like linearly, so that you can reference it later. Like hopefully people watch that stuff and they're like, oh, I'm going to borrow that and then bring it into a conversation. That's what you hope as a content creator to have happen.
Yeah.
So,
with Kyle, at the very least, he does manage to. He knows his talking points. Like he knows his figures, he knows his facts, he knows his statistics. So like, that's why he repeats like the same thing in multiple videos. If like the topic of the video relates to, a useful figure, a useful fact that can explain away what's happening in the video clip. But yeah, that's actually something that's inspired me and the work that I've done. And I actually haven't made an official video on this channel in a hot minute, even though I got a few ideas for a couple for sure. It's making something that's not only rewatchable, but something that has staying power and can be referenced basically at any given point.
Right.
Something that's informative and can actually be used for reference at any given point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going for, and that's what I'm going for in my upcoming episodes. I'm talking here just to preview those. I got the DNC divide, progressive pragmatism versus neoliberal incrementalism. I got for America to survive, baby boomer conservatism must die. And then I got superior political athletes, progressives win primaries with the politics of righteous revolution. And then I want to do one on the left's narcissism, which is the double-edged sword of equality.
Then
I want to do another Who Are MAGA episode and just call them straight up white trash Nazis. Who are MAGA white trash Nazis? And then I need to do another episode on the Star Wars is politics, Star Trek is policy, and political marketing is Jurassic Park. I have another episode like that cooking. So I got a lot of writing to do, got a lot of reading to do, but it's sure. It's it's good. I wish I didn't have there's a lot of other things in my life that I have to do that take up time that I wish I could dedicate more to this, but it's all good, man. It's like I think it's it's just a matter of time before more people are watching us and paying attention. So that's going to be it for me. You got any parting thoughts from my audience?
Nothing in particular. I mean, it's good that we're at least getting like a little, like a modicum of good news. Fucking Elon not being involved in the Trump administration anymore. Not to mention the recent news of him saying like, I'm not going to donate to any political causes anymore and this and that. I think him losing that fucking like Wisconsin Supreme Court seat,
right? That was
despite
a big one.
putting millions to that, really bruised his fragile little ego. Right. So that on top of other things must have played a big role. We'll of course see with happens with the tariffs and shit. But other than that, I started my new job today, and it went
How'd it go?
it went very well. I really
Nice.
enjoyed it. Like, I'm actually like surprised, like, just by how easygoing it is, and like
Nice.
the potential that there is. Honestly,
That's
got to
fantastic.
service some pretty wealthy spots up like northeast of Sacramento. It was really cool, honestly, like up in the foothills. But it's great. I go back tomorrow, and we'll see how it plays out. But I enjoyed myself today.
Great, right on. Well, for Stat Pat, Stateless Patriot, I am Dieter McBusiness reminding you that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. Stat Pat, are you going to stay on?
Nah, I'm getting off. We'll see everybody next week.
All right. See you guys next week. Till then, bye bye.